Hello, I'm Jessie Sheehan and I am Colavita Olive Oil's baking expert. And today I am making an amazing Valentine's Day or any day flourless chocolate cake with Colavita olive oil. Now with this cake today, we're using Colavita's neutral olive oil. It's great for baking. It's not gonna give a big olive oily taste. However, if you are craving a big olive oily taste, as you should be, you can totally substitute a different kind of Colavita olive oil that has a stronger taste, okay? So let's go. First things first, right here, I have 9 ounces of chopped chocolate. And the first thing we do in this recipe is we melt the chocolate. And the magic of TV, it's already melted. And the first thing I do is I add light brown sugar. And I like to use light brown sugar when I'm baking with chocolate, just because it helps bring out kind of that really, the molassesy, caramelly, flavor. And the amazing thing about this flourless chocolate cake is that it all comes together in a single bowl. You don't have to separate your eggs. I don't know if you've made a flourless chocolate cake before where you have to whip your whites, and you might even have to whip your yolks as well. None of that is happening here. For this recipe, all we're doing is mixing up chocolate and sugar, adding some vanilla and eggs and a little espresso powder, and we're done. I mean, is that crazy and amazing? Yes, it is. Okay, now I'm gonna add a tablespoon of vanilla, and I'm very generous with my vanilla. Now I'm going to add my olive oil. So this is 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. And I love, as you've heard me say before, I love baking with olive oil because it just makes everything so easy. I mean, it's even easier than melted butter. With olive oil, when you're baking with olive oil, you just pour it right in, like I did today. And speaking of that melted chocolate, and maybe the melted chocolate plus the oil, let's say, I didn't mention this before, but you can do that in a double boiler, which means you put a little bit of water in the bottom of a saucepan. You put it over medium heat till it's like simmering. Then you put a large bowl on top with, let's say, your chocolate in it, and you melt it that way. Or if you are microwave forward, which I happen to be, you put it in your microwave. And that's why we use this really big mixing bowl today. This bowl is actually microwave safe. So I could put the chocolate in, stick it in the microwave, bring it out, ta-da, same bowl. Kind of cool, no? So I'm whisking this up. I'm gonna add a little bit of espresso powder. And this is the interesting thing, peeps, about baking with chocolate and using espresso powder. You're not actually using the espresso powder because you want anything to taste like coffee. You're using it because it pops the chocolate flavor. Now, how cool is that? Now we are going to use 1 egg at a time. The recipe calls for 6 eggs. It's how the recipe kind of gets its lift, because there's no leavening in here. There's no baking soda or baking powder. And I like to do 1 egg at a time, just to make sure they really get nicely incorporated. And I like to use room temp eggs. And let me tell you about that. If you are using an egg that is kind of cold, it doesn't incorporate all that well. So that yolk might kind of remain in the cake. It'll, after it's baked, you might see like a little strip of something and you're like, what's that? It's probably egg white. So what I would suggest is you do the eggs 1 at a time and that you make sure that they are at room temp. You can see we're getting this really glossy, beautiful, if I do say so myself, beautiful batter. So I'm continuing to whisk this up. Then it's super easy. We're gonna be putting our batter into our prepared pan. That's just an 8-inch pan with some either cooking spray or brushing a little olive oil on the inside works. And then there's a piece of parchment paper in there just to make sure that the bottom doesn't stick. I just think this is gorgeous. I'm gonna transfer it to my pan, and here we go. You ready? Into our pan, looking very chocolatey and delicious, and it smells incredible, by the way. And look at this, peeps. Looks beautiful, looks glossy, perfect in the pan. It actually doesn't rise much higher than this. It kind of rises and collapses in the oven. We bake it at 375 degrees for about 30 minutes. I like to check on it a teeny bit early, like maybe around 28 minutes, 26 minutes. And what you'll see is that the cake has kind of risen. It's gotten kind of crackly on top, and then it begins to collapse. So as soon as you bring it out of the oven, it collapses. And at the halfway mark, like about 12, 14 minutes into baking, I like to rotate the cake. Okay? So I'm gonna go put this in the oven. I will see you soon when this beauty is all baked up. Okay, look at this beauty. She is so gorgeous. She's been resting about 10, 15 minutes. I'm taking just a regular old kind of butter knife, and I'm going around the edges. Oops. There's nothing worse, my friends, than not going around the edges and then having your cake stick. I'm gonna grab this plate. I am going to flip her over. Dun, 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 beautiful! I'm gonna go like that, and then I'm gonna move her right over to this cooling rack so that she can cool. Now look how pretty she is. She's collapsed a bit, if you can see that, and but she has these kind of lovely, kind of puffy edges, and the middle is a little more sunken. I'm gonna wait till she cools to room temp before I serve this to you. Here she is, she's cooled down, she's gorgeous, and I wanna add, we're eating it the same day that we baked it, but this cake only gets better with time. And you know what, honestly, that is what I love about baking with olive oil. You can do that. Cakes that are made with olive oil get better as the days pass. How amazing is that? And for those of us that really enjoy kind of making everything ahead, let's say when we have a dinner party, this is for you. Because you can do that. You can make this dessert, get it out of the way. Wow, look how beautiful. Can you see that? Oh my God, fudgy deliciousness is what I say. So I'm gonna move this over. I'm gonna move this right here. And you can top this with whatever you would like. I like to use creme fraiche. I like to use whipped cream. I like to use Cool Whip. I like to use non-dairy whip. I like everything, but just like a beautiful dollop. Oh my God, I'm an excellent dolloper. I did not know if you knew that about me. Look at this beauty. She's got a little bit of cream on her. She has this very fudgy middle. I don't know if you can see that fudgy middle. And she is just beautiful. Thank you so much for following along while we made this scrumptious flourless chocolate cake with Cola Vita olive oil. I think this recipe would be great for Valentine's Day. It would be great for a dinner party. It would be great for an afternoon snack. It's just a super, super versatile cake and a super, super easy one. You can find the recipe up on the Cola Vita website, and I'm so glad that you were here today to make chocolate cake with me.